Okay, Matrix. So obviously a lot of you guys have been asking me to do videos just explaining a little bit more what is required from you guys with your PAT, and the only way I can do that is by doing last year's PAT because I'm not allowed to help you too much with this one. So I'm going to kind of show you what you need to do but using last year's PAT. Okay, so we're going to start off with phase 1 of last year's PAT. We are basically just going to explain to you what is expected and all that sort of jazz. So I'm not going to go through this with you because obviously you guys don't need to do this for your PAT. We will just refer to it while doing certain sections of the PAT. So let's just get started. Okay, so phase 1 is pretty much the same as your PAT. So you've got a formulated design brief. First paragraph must give a brief background to the project, and the second paragraph must, in your own words, give a clear overview of your role in the project, as well as a description of the complete design process that you are going to implement to complete this project. Okay, from the scenario and your teacher's management plan include the following as part of the design brief: a list of 20 given specifications, 5 possible constraints, and your own management plan. Okay, so as you can see, it's quite similar to your PAT in the terms of you've got to still do a phase 1 and that sort of thing. So let's just start with this section here. So this section is part of your design brief. So now imagine you've got an A3 piece of paper. I'm just going to use a small little piece of paper so we don't waste, but so that you still get a general idea of what is required of you. So let's pretend that this paper here is your A3 piece of paper and you are doing your design brief. So you might have a nice heading at the top here that you've designed really nicely. So design brief. And I will be splitting these videos so that you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 as part of this project to help you with this project. Okay, so that like if you're looking specifically for phase 2, what's kind of required from you in phase 2, it'll be in the next video. So this video we're just focusing on phase 1 of last year's project to help you with this year's project. Okay, so design brief. So the first thing is formulate a design brief. First paragraph must, in your own words, give a brief background to the project. So you would look here and you would say, your clients appealed to the local municipality to revoke subdivision of stand 71 from 2 stands, 71A and 71B, to a single stand has been successful. The intention to build a new conference center. Okay, so that's one of the intentions. You can now go ahead as planned, as it would attract more business to the existing bread and breakfast facility. You have been tasked by the client to submit a suggested design solution for the proposed new conference center. Okay, so based on that, you would say, give a brief background to the project. So you would say, for instance, a new conference center. Actually, let's scratch that. I would start off by saying the revoking of subdivision stand 71 from 2 stands 71A and 71B to a single stand has been successful. A new conference center or the intention to build a new conference center has been approved, as it would attract more business to existing bread and breakfast facility, and blah blah blah. Would be designing a proposed new conference center. So basically you would look at this paragraph and kind of determine what you would write in your first paragraph using the brief information they've given you here. So obviously I've not given you a fantastic example, but it's going to differ from your project anyways, as long as you get somewhat of a idea of what is required from you. Then they also say here the proposed new conference center will be simply referred to as the building. This is the same as your patch here. They talk about the PAT being spoken about as the restaurants and the museum. Okay, so now that you've got that, the second paragraph must, in your own words, give a clear overview of your role in the project. Okay, so you obviously know that your role in the project is to be the architect. So you could say, as the architect in charge of designing the new conference center, for instance, ... You would write a brief background, like you would say, it is my responsibility to design a conference center, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you would give a brief background like that. So you would have 2 beautiful paragraphs. Obviously, mine are very close together, so don't do that. And that's pretty much your design brief. Then you're going to have a list of specifications. So say underneath your paragraph, you have another little subheading that says specifications. So you would say, so again, in one of the previous PAT videos, I spoke about a specification, and I said that it's something that has to be done. So for instance, a specification here could be that the building must have the capacity to cater for a maximum of 65 delegates. Okay, it has to be done. Okay, so specifications must cater for 65 delegates. Okay, so you would have that over there, and then you would have obviously your next one, and you would do this 20 times. So obviously make sure that you have 20 different specifications. Okay, so you could say here, the roof must be a Dutch gable design. That's a specification. So you could say here, roof must be a Dutch gable design. Okay, so basically that's kind of what is expected. Is you're going to read through your brief and you're going to basically highlight. So you see I've done quite a bit of highlighting here. I've highlighted everything that I think is important. This is not necessarily specifications. But what you're basically going to do is you're going to go find all your specifications. You can highlight it, circle it, underline it, whatever you want to do. And then you would obviously bring it onto your design brief. So there you would have 20 different specifications. Might even go on to the next half of the page, I'm not sure, depending on what your project is, and then or how you design it, sorry. And then you're going to have constraints. Okay, constraints. So your constraints will be things that hinder or limit your design process. Again, I did put the definition in the last video, but for instance here, the building must be a single-story brick structure. That's a constraint because you can't really design upwards, right? So must be a single-story brick structure, I would put down as a constraint. And I would say building must be a single-story brick structure. Okay, and then obviously you would have to look for formal, and that would be your constraints. So that's kind of a layout you can go for. Obviously it's up to you because it is your project at the end of the day. This is just a brief idea of what you could do to do this sort of part of the project. Okay, so I would put my design brief and all of this in one paper. And also as a rule of thumb, do you see how it separates in 1, 2? So like this would be the first page of my project, which would be like the design brief, right? Then they have conduct research, sorry. Then research would be like the second page of my project. So now let's go talk about research. Okay, so now obviously we've done this page here, and I'm just going to fold it over. Now we are going to do our research for this project. So now say you've got a beautiful heading. Okay, and you've got your beautiful heading, and then we're going to look at what the research says. So it says conduct research on the designs and floor layouts of small conference centers. So here obviously you've got different research depending on the project. So here's your research, and they give you what they want. but I'm not going to reference this one here. I'm going to use these. Designs and floor plan layouts of small conference centers. So maybe you go onto Pinterest, like I recommended for the last one, and say you print out a photo of a conference center, because they say they want layouts and designs of conference centers. So you could have beautiful photos pasted on your research like that, and you could say as a heading or a subheading, conference centers, okay, and then obviously you can have your examples underneath. All right, and then there are 3 examples of Dutch gable roof designs and 3 examples of covered drive-throughs. So you could say here Dutch gable roof, for instance, and then you could have your images of a Dutch gable roof. So maybe you've got an image like this pasted on your drawing, because that's a Dutch gable roof, and then you might have other examples as well that you paste underneath. So let's just say that, okay, you've got another one here. All right, so normally with research, I think 2 pages is appropriate, based on like the images and things you use, and also it just helps everything to not look so cramped. So Dutch gable, covered drive-throughs, and rotating doors and swing doors. And then obviously you could do a second page where you could do research again, and you could do a layout with the remaining images that you need to do. Obviously I'm not going to necessarily do another research page, because I've given you an idea of what is kind of required from you. And what I like to do is I like to put some notes. So here I would say maybe we've got dimensions, or I would say example, say for example you get one with IBF roof finish as per what they ask for in your brief. Example with is it IBR roof finish, sorry, IBR roof finish. So I just like to add neat little notes with my pictures to kind of give an idea of what's required here. And then it says the research must be relevant and in the form of graphic material. So that's obviously images and illustrations, evidence of at least 5 different examples of each research topic. Okay, we're not going to go through this because obviously you're not doing this project, but it will help you to understand it better. But I have explained that in a previous video. But one thing that I am going to reiterate is that you do need to include your bibliography after the research. So that means that wherever you got your images, whatever websites you visited, write those down, keep the links, because you're going to need to refer to those websites and places where you found your images of your research later on in your project, because obviously it's not work of your own and you need to give credit to the people who do own that work. Okay, so now that we've got our design brief and our research, the next part of our project is to prepare neat freehand drawings of the floor plan layout with 2 possible design solutions, okay, which is the same as what you had to do here. Again, I'm just not going to go through it in detail because it's just a brief understanding of how you guys are going to lay it out. I will then take my drawing from this freehand drawing, because I'm just going to do a little one to give you an example of how you would do your perspective and your phase 2, because obviously I can't use this one here, but I'm not going to go too in depth with this one with you guys. Okay, so you're going to do 2 detailed freehand drawings, use 2 papers, okay, and the calculation for the total area, blah blah blah. Grid graph paper must be used, and basically what grid graph paper is it's kind of like this cutting board beneath me. It's like a paper with blocks like this printed on, and you put your paper on top of it. So for instance, you would put your paper on top of it, and then you would draw on these lines to help you get as straight lines as possible, because remember, these are freehand drawings. Okay, so now say this is my freehand drawing 1. So I'm not going to do a second freehand because I'm just going to run with one freehand drawing 1. Okay, So say I'm not going to exactly design the conference center exactly to how they want it done. I just want to have a little bit of an example to show you guys what is required. So all I'm really going to do is I'm going to have a building with bathrooms at the back. That's my design. This has absolutely got nothing to do with this project, even this project. This is just to help you to kind of see what you need to add. But then you're going to remember, okay, you got your freehand drawing, you got to have your wall thicknesses. So you'll put your wall thicknesses. Okay, maybe this is a single wall with a door over there. And then we've got again our double wall. So let's just make that thick. Double wall. We've got our entrance. Okay, obviously you will not have lines there, but we'll have our entrance, and you will obviously also have windows because each building has windows, so you would not forget to draw your windows in. Remember, with these drawings here, basically what you're doing is you're taking like a civil drawing from your workbook, and you're basically just drawing your freehand drawing, but with the format of the civil drawing. So this here is incorrect, but if we were actually drawing like a room, for instance, so I'm just going to use my ruler so I can get it nice and neat for you guys just to demonstrate. Obviously you don't need to do this on your freehand drawing. You do need to do a freehand drawing, but not like this. You're basically just going to draw essentially according to the guidelines in your workbook. So like here, if I were drawing a room, say that's my wall thickness, and we've got a wall thickness over here and a wall thickness over here and over here, and then we've got my little door frame over there. All you'd basically just do your standard drawing. So there, see I've freehanded a drawing. Pretend the walls are freehand. I just wanted to get it straight so you can actually see what I'm doing without this nonsense over here. And then you will obviously still have like your windows. So say you've got your window over there, and then you've got your lines in the middle to show the window pane, and say you've got two windows over here. I don't know, however you decide to design it. But yeah, just to give you an idea. Okay, and then you've got your hatching of your walls. So let's just carry on. I just want to hatch it finished. Okay, so pretend that's all part of your freehand, and then so what do they want in your freehand? Grid graph paper must be used. All aspects, including dimensions, tables, levels, and possible information blocks may be prepared. Okay, so here, say you want to give a dimension, and then you go, okay, that's 3000 millimeters, or you don't have to write millimeters, you can just write 3000, I'm sure that's fine. Okay, you don't have to put your electrical fittings and wastewater systems on the freehand drawings. Drawings may be prepared on either A4 or A3. Okay, but basically, so you're just doing a freehand drawing, you've got your measurements, your titles. So here, if this were the bathroom, you would say bathroom, because this is obviously a label, bathroom and tiles, and then you would have your freehand water closet. Say you've got your wash basin over here, and then say you stuck your shower over here, and you've got a bathtub. Don't draw it over your writing, that's very unneat. And then you've got a bath. Okay, so that's kind of what is expected of you. One thing though with your freehand drawings is don't make the mistake of just drawing in any size. Actually look at your workbooks. So normally a shower is 800 by 800. So you have shower and you have 800 by 800. Use it to scale according to your drawing. So if you are working on a scale of 1 to 100, make sure that your shower, you draw it to 8 mils, because that will be a scale of 1 to 100. Okay, so I did make a video on the metric scale to help you understand that, so I'm not going to go through it again. But basically the point is you're going to have to do a freehand drawing, and it's basically you just freehand drawing what you would normally do in your civil drawings in your workbooks. Okay, so I hope that kind of gives you guys a little bit of an explanation. If it doesn't, I apologize. Hopefully phase 2 will be a little bit better for you guys. But yeah, So now let's go on to the next part of the PAT, which is selecting the best freehand solution. So you will have a table, so you would say, I don't know, maybe you give the heading freehand solution. Obviously, don't do what I'm doing, just make sure yours is very neat. I'm just rushing through this to kind of give you guys an idea of what is required of you. This is in no means exactly what you need to be doing. Okay, so say you've got a table here. I should have left a space, but it's okay, just we'll pretend I left quite a big space there. So say we've got a freehand solution. We've got a table, because you do have to make a table comparing your two solutions. So I'm going to make a line there and a line there. Okay, so you would have freehand drawing, see, 1 and freehand drawing 2. Write the full word, don't do what I'm doing. I'm just obviously doing this to make it quicker for you guys. And then in the next column I would have my rating scale. So rating and rating, and then on the side I might have something that explains the scale. So 1 might be terrible design, 2 might be moderate, 3 might be average. Okay, so basically it's kind of just like you give a rating scale, then we might have 5, which would actually be better as average, but anyways, so you're basically going to have like what each of these means. 6 might be like satisfactory design, then you might have 7, which might be like, okay, meets requirements or something, and then 8, 9 might be incredible, and 10 you could say perfect. But you don't actually have to use a scale like this. You can invent a scale of your own, as long as you just have what it means on the side, so that your marker knows that 1 is terrible and 10 is perfect. Okay, so that kind of thing. Then what you're going to basically do is you're going to compare your drawings. So say you compare layout, So say my freehand solution for number 1 was better than my solution for freehand 2. Say the layout was better. So I'm going to give this rating a layout, or this layout a rating of 8, because it's a pretty good layout. And this one might just be an okay average. So there I rated a 5 out of 10 to say, yeah, it's okay. Okay, and basically that's what you're going to do. And then once you've done that, you're going to write a paragraph explaining why you chose which solution. So say at the end of the day this one wins because it's got 8 out of 10, and this one loses because it's got 5 out of 10, then I would say I chose freehand 1 because it's got better layout, better design, blah blah blah. And then I also say if I'm gonna make any changes, I'll be like, I've decided to change the layout of my electrical fittings, blah blah blah. So basically you're gonna write why you chose that drawing and what you're gonna do to change it. Okay, so that's phase 1 done, I believe. Let me just have a look, see. Yeah, so it's pretty self-explanatory. 6 relevant criteria. It might be different on your guys' PAT. Let's just see. Nope, 6 relevant. Okay, so you see it's pretty much the same. Creating, applying self-explanatory rating, simple scale, and justifying each score, positive and or negatives against each criterion. So for instance, it's not always to say that this drawing here is going to be perfect in comparison to this drawing. Like this one might have a design of 4 out of 10, where this one has a design of 6 out of 10. Okay, so be realistic. Like, I know that sometimes you just want to use a certain drawing, so you give it every amazing rating scale so that you can pick that drawing, but be a little bit realistic. So I hope this kind of gives you an idea of what is expected in phase 1. I will be making a phase 2 thing for you guys to understand a little bit better. Obviously, I'm not going to go in detail with this pat because we're not doing it, but I also can't do this pat. So I'm really just going to do something that's going to make things a little bit easier for you guys. So mine's probably just going to be a little bit of a house just to kind of show you what is expected. But you might have something so beautiful at the end of the day. As long as it helps you get the concept down, then that's all we needed. Okay, so I hope this helps you guys, and just be patient with me. I know that I'm putting out videos quite slowly. I've been quite busy, but I'm going to try get as many done as possible to make sure that this PAT this year is going to be easy for you guys. Okay.